Computer. Hey, everybody, and welcome to our second of the Which Game is Best series. Our first one was a podcast type discussion between myself and Jason the 13th, having a talk about Mega Man and kind of talking about Mega Man 2, 3, and X and which one was the best. This one instead is about our beloved puzzler, Tetris. And I am fortunate to be joined by my friend and family member, Stormrosesky. And Storm is, of course, the owner of Stormrosesky's YouTube and Twitch channels. Storm, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk about Tetris.
As am I, because I don't know too many people like us that really love this puzzle game. And it's really something that you and I have both been playing for years and years. Well, shoot, at this point, decades. And just for the class overall, going to kind of go a little bit of a background of Tetris. And while we're talking, we're also going to be playing Tetris and one of the most iconic versions of Tetris, and that is the Game Boy version of Tetris. And Tetris, of course, itself is a puzzle game that was invented in 1985 by Alexei Pajitnov in the Soviet Union. And we're not going to go the whole history of Tetris. There's a lot of really good resources for that, especially the video game historians, the story of Tetris. And I'm going to include a link in the description below for this. But from its inception, it's been out in a myriad of different versions, up to and including stuff on mobile, console form, arcade. And in those various versions, it's sold over 500 million copies and is probably one of the highest selling video game franchises out there. And the gameplay, of course, is, as I'm going to start up our little match here, the gameplay is like the old office adage, the accomplishments disappear while errors pile up. And the goal, of course, is to clear as many lines as possible. And in this particular competitive version, it's possible to send some of the lines over to whom you're competing against. But if you're playing by yourself, it's to get like the highest score possible, or maybe clear the most amount of lines, depends on the version that you play. And as the game goes on, the speed goes up and it gets harder and harder. But just overall, it makes the game more difficult the more that you play. And what we're really going to talk about is which of the versions of Tetris that Storm and I have played that we have found to be the best. And I just kind of want to go over the various versions that we both have played. And it's going to be, for me, I've played over 13 versions. And really, starting with the NES version, this is the one that is the original Nintendo one, and it's really still popular today. Like I saw it when I was over at the Midwest Gaming Convention in Milwaukee. There were still tournaments for it going on. It was still a big event over there. Then one of the things is, because it's still going on, stuff like the rolling technique still is being invented and kind of being pioneered. And it's funny, this rolling technique, that's where you like hit the left or right as a series of rolls and kind of touching the back of the controller in a certain way to trigger the rolls. Using that, I actually beat level 19.5 on the original NES Tetris for the first time. I think it was like last year. So it was really something cool to be able to take advantage of. And it just shows the overall validity of that NES version of Tetris. Storm, have you played the NES version of Tetris?
I don't think so. I don't think I have. The first time that I played Tetris, I remember being on a PC.
Oh, gotcha.
So
Do you know what version of PC Tetris?
it
Like,
was for a well, we got the computer from Rena Center back then in 94, 95, and it was Geos.
oh, nice.
So it was just generic, um, generic operating system back then. But Tetris was a ton of fun. I got totally hooked on it, and then would have family members try to beat my score. They couldn't. They would take over the computer at Thanksgiving trying to beat it, and nope. So that was fun.
It's a blast, kind of having that best score and being the best at that.
Yes. And it's like neater, neater, because it doesn't happen a lot. So when it does, on games that I know I can do, I'm like, I get a little cocky about it. But
Oh,
oh no,
that's too funny. Oh, I think I got you on this one.
you did. I'm trying to get used to you can't save a block to the side.
I know.
It's like what is that? I'm used to that.
This is like seriously one of the most core versions of Tetris, like one of the earliest versions, because about a month before the NES Tetris version came out, this Game Boy one did, and this was another one of the versions of Tetris that we played, and then of course played this with my two older brothers, because this had the ability to do two-player, as you can see here, and this is probably the version of Tetris that really put the game and the series overall on the map, because this of course was a pack-in title for the original Game Boy, and it was one of those things, kind of like a Wii Sports moment, that really got like the individual person really into the really owning and having a Game Boy. And it's just one of those things where it's like it really helped to popularize it and helped to spawn I think it's Police Academy 7. They called it the game. I was what the plot point was, where the Soviets wanted to take over the whole discourse, and I think it ended up being um a whole thing with that movie. Oh, I think you got me on this one.
Woohoo! That I didn't know that about Police Academy 7, but it makes sense. I watched the Tetris Murders, which
Ooh.
we won't get into, but it was a really good documentary on Discovery Plus about the history of Tetris and the creator. So knowing some of that, that makes sense that Police Academy would use that as a plot point, because the Soviets, they were very, very controlling of anything that got made. So them getting Tetris into the hands of Nintendo took some fancy footwork, or was it Activision? Whoever went with them to get it into the Game Boy, like
Yeah,
they
yeah.
did their work to get it in our hands, which thankfully they did. So
And it's funny because the creator of Tetris, Alexei Pejidnov, he got no money, no credit, nothing for actually inventing the game, because all of the money went to the Soviet government. And it wasn't until the Tetris company itself was formed that and it was something he, and I forget the other gentleman's name, ended up actually um, owning Tetris, at least for a bit, and they shared the rights. I think now it's between Nintendo and EA, if I'm remembering correctly. I could totally be wrong, but at least now Pejidnov is getting full rights of Tetris, and it's kind of goes back to kind of circles back.
yep.
Another version, and it's funny we're talking about rights, another version of Tetris that rights was a whole thing, was another NES version of Tetris. It was the Tengen Tetris, and it was an unlicensed one where Atari had the rights, because Atari was a part owner of Tengen, and they published it was a different looking cart, and they put Tengen's Tetris on there. But 4 weeks after the game released, they lost the rights to that version of Tetris, and they ended up having to recall over 286,000 copies of Tetris,
Oh wow.
of that version of Tetris. And the game itself is good. We actually had a physical copy of it. But again, the game itself is pretty good. It is an NES version that actually offers two-player, both competitive and co-op. So that's pretty cool. Oh man, that Tetris really hurt me there, Storm. And it's actually really good. Doesn't have that classic Tetris theme in it, but music's still pretty decent. But beyond that, that version of Tetris actually had never been ported or reported in any other way, and that's the same version that's in the arcades, because there's an arcade version of Tetris, and that Tetris in the arcades is something that Atari/Tengen had rights to. Oh, is that
Oh,
it? Oh, I guess I
you,
got all the lines. I was
you
real close to
did.
dying there.
Yes, you were. Mm. All
Because I
right.
think I think back in the 80s/early 90s, Tetris rights were split between home console for Nintendo, arcade for Atari, and then PC was another third party, and I can't remember which. And Sega also had their own version of Tetris that they were planning on releasing, but they never did. The cool thing is, if you owned the Sega mini console, that actually has that unreleased version of Tetris in it. So that's pretty cool.
That's pretty neat. I didn't know there are so many different versions out there, like illegal versions and whatever too. So
And
that's
like
interesting.
clones and whatnot.
Yes, that's what I meant. Not illegal version,
Uh,
but everybody's got their own ideas. Urgh. Okay, I'm good.
and speaking of PC, I've played a couple PC versions, like Commodore 64 and then the DOS ones, which are kind of plain. I mean, they had colors and everything, but not anything like the blocks that you see here on the screen. But I know that there was like a Windows version that released in the early aughts, and then there was a Facebook one. I know it was around the time of Farmville when all those games really became into prominence. There's one where you got to play Tetris with friends, and like you could level up and everything. And so I got into that. So while everybody was doing farms, of course, my old butt, I was playing Tetris.
I had no idea. Oh, I don't remember playing Tetris on Facebook. I think I might have seen a rumbling of it. Damn.
Yep.
But you got me.
I think I got
Um,
you.
I was playing Farmville though. At that time, I did get into the Farmville thing, so I missed the Tetris on Facebook, but I did try it on mobile on iOS, and I didn't really care for it. I think it's just the touch screen controls I wasn't used to yet. I'm used to touching like real buttons to turn these tetronomes around and all of that. So
Yeah, the whole touch screen thing, it misses that whole tactile sensation that buttons have. And even to this day, like I don't really get into mobile gaming at all. It's just not my nothing against people that do, Yeah,
right.
you want to do Candy Crush on your phone, you do you. That's totally fine. It's just for me personally, it's just not my cup of tea.
Yep. I have very few games that I play on my phone, and like Words with Friends, and then I have a Disney Blitz, which is just another version of Tetris, I think. Like all of those games that this one little game has inspired, all the Bejeweled and the Disney Blitz and various other connect the jewel type games to get them to disappear. It's amazing how this one little game has launched so much and very different versions of itself as well.
And it's funny too, like and they were doing spin-offs of Tetris games, like even like a couple years after Tetris really kind of made it quote unquote big, because you had stuff like Tetris 2, you had Hatris, you had then you started having like Dr. Mario, of course, and then you started to get like Tetris Attack and other stuff like that. Ouch, that one hurts. But then kind of focusing just on the overall Tetris itself. I think I gotcha.
You did, because I,
Yay,
I I
Mario wins.
screwed up. Mario. I think it's wrong, see. Since when do you ever use Mario?
I know, I'm used to always being Luigi.
God. But I'll take my one win because that only happened because you're distracted. Listen, listeners, beating Inferno Fox at anything is a highlight. Okay. Good God. I've been playing games against you for years and years, and I could probably count on one hand how many times I've beat you at something.
And now it's immortalized. We've got it right here. We got it live
Yes,
and recorded. So
it happened.
if
It
you're
happened.
if you're feeling low, you can always go back to this.
Yep. Yay.
Other versions of Tetris that I played was the SNES Tetris and Dr. Mario, where that one was really awesome. It was a great combination of both games. The Tetris mode, it was like the original NES one that I mentioned, but it actually had a two-player competitive and also a versus computer mode. And then there was a mixed match where you would do B-type, and then you'd have to clear a certain amount of viruses on Dr. Mario, and then you do an endless marathon of A-type. Oop, I think I got you.
You did.
Ah. But it was really a kind of a cool mix of that. How about you, Storm? Did you play any of that Super Nintendo version, or what was another version of Tetris that you played?
Tetris Attack, I played a lot. I was actually first introduced to it by your mom back when I was dating your brother before we all got married. We would come over to the house and whatever, and that would be the one game that she and I would play together, and it's probably like the best memory I have with your mom.
And just so
that like all
and,
that is complicated. So
and listeners, just as a gentle reminder, when she says your mom, she really means my mother. We have known each other that long. It's not
yes,
like a fun pejorative by your mother. No,
yeah,
it's
nope. This is actually it's the truth. It was your mom. I'm not your momming you joke wise, but yeah, that was my first introduction to Tetris Attack. I think I played Dr. Mario at your house as well, but I didn't like it as much.
It was funny. One of the memories that I have with Tetris Attack is where I would play that with my mother, and I would have to give her a 10,000 point handicap because yeah, and it was literally the maximum amount of points that you can give, and like I would about 75% of the time I could still win, which is
Yeah.
good, but yeah.
Yes. Yeah, but you had to treat it special, and that's a whole different discussion for another day. We're not going to get into all that bojazz. But then I just fell in love with that, and I think I got our own version for it at home when I had the Super Nintendo. So between Tetris Attack and Mario RPG at that time, I was loving the Super Nintendo. But
And for our fans that are watching slash listening, you can play Tetris Attack on the Nintendo the NSO service. It's under the Japanese version of the game. It's called Panel de Pan. Again, that's Panel to Pan. It doesn't use any of the Yoshi assets. Well, the Yoshi assets and all the Yoshi aesthetics of Tetris Attack came from Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, and they just turned Panel de Pan to all the Yoshi stuff for us ignorant Americans, so that we could have something to associate as versus a game full of fairies. So there you go.
I was happy to find it on the online because again, I don't have the Super Nintendo anymore, and so other than not being able to read the captioning, the captions or the dialogue because I don't understand Japanese at all. So other than that, it just plays just the same, and I have oh my god, this is proving the whole rub your head and or chew gum and walk at the same time kind of thing. This is what's happening. So yeah, Tetris Attack was fun. And I'm trying to think around that time it was just more PC too. I didn't have a whole lot of console games with it until I can't think of another console that it was on until the Switch with Tetris 99, which I just absolutely love.
we're definitely going to touch upon Tetris 99. We're going to have a lot of discussion on it, just because of how great of a job that they did with that entry. But kind of going through my versions of Tetris, I also played. I did not play Tetris Plus, which is another Tetris game that came out on the original Game Boy. But I did play Tetris DX, and that was a really good Tetris game because, of course, it was for the Game Boy Color. It let you save your high scores, which is awesome. But the music wasn't the same. They had introduced like all new music, and then there was like a T-spin technique you could do to cheat on it, where if you spun the tetraminos a certain way, it would kind of rise back up. Like it's really kind of funky that way. Robert, Storm, I'm going to give myself a little bit of handicap. I'm going to give myself a high of 2. Feel free to leave yours at 0.
I will. It's pity points now, folks. That's what that is. He's feeling bad.
And then I didn't really play it as much. The next version that I know of Tetris that I played a little bit was Tetris DS, and that one was awesome because if you liked original NES games, like it had like Super Mario Brothers 1, 2, 3 in the background, Metroid, Zelda in the background, in the levels, music and everything like that. A whole bunch of modes, online and local multiplayer for up to 4 individuals. It was really probably one of the best versions of Tetris. And then another version where Tetris kind of really left Nintendo's overall hands was the PS3, where again that had an online component, but was really kind of that basic sort of play. And I think it was that one where it really started the whole thing where you hold a tetramino in the like kind of like in your queue. Oh, I think you got me on this one.
I might have.
Yeah, you got me. Yeah, I can't chew bubble gum and walk at the same time, but it gets too high apparently.
Oh, can you imagine
Oh,
Tetris 99 right now while trying to?
I thought about doing that, but I'm like, yeah, I don't. Or the Invictus Tetris 99, which I kind of want to touch upon Tetris 99 because beyond like Facebook and a couple of the PC versions, I really didn't play Tetris too much until Tetris 99 that came out. Storm what in 2018, 2019?
Yes, it was it 2018 or 2019? I think 2018.
And like it's still going pretty strong. Like they still add new
Yes.
themes, because that's another great thing is they have a whole bunch of Nintendo related themes for new games, not just like, because they have some old ones like Mario and Donkey Kong, but like they had new ones like Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and Fire Emblem. And I usually use the Metroid, yeah. And I usually they had a Metroid Dread one, which was okay. But like I usually play with the Fire Emblem one, or the Xenoblade one, because the music's just like perfect. Because once you get down to 10 or less people, like there's that whole urgency that the music sort of like ramps up to, like, okay, that's how you know you're really it.
Yes.
Storm, what are your overall thoughts, feelings? Let me test the barometer here. How much do you like Tetris 99?
It is one of, I would give one of my top 10 favorite games of all time.
Wow, really?
Yeah. I just, well, because I love Tetris and it's been a version that feels comfortable to play because I did have the DS version and then of course the versions on the mobile, but no longer anything on PC. And there might be a Mac version out there somewhere, but I've not toyed with it. Anyway, the Tetris 99, because it kind of reminded me of Tetris Attack, where you're, everything you do, you're sending blocks over. And I like being able to play against people. And then, of course, they release the other versions. So, like the Invictus, and then you can play offline or whatnot, and all the trials. And I just think it's really colorful. I like colors, and the music is great. I like being able to, when they have their little challenges for the week or whatever, and then you get the special themes and whatnot. So it changes it a little bit. for me, but one of my top 10 games of all time, because it's just such a nice one. But then we will talk about Tetris Effect, because Tetris Effect just blows everything out of the water visually.
And it's so funny because the whole thing with Tetris Effect, and I have a feeling we're gonna pretty much center our discussion between the two of those, but Tetris Effect, of course, is, if Tetris 99 is kind of like that high amped action version of Tetris, Tetris Effect Connected is probably the opposite. It feels a little more relaxed. It's a little more trippy. It's got excellent like kind of that trance-ish music, which thanks of course to your husband. It's his fault that I like that.
That's all not his problem. I didn't read that. Oh my goodness. Again, we're walking and talking at the same time. Try bubblegum. No, it is, his love of trance. Back in the day, I gave him a hard time about trance. I used to, before I was uneducated. Okay, I used to be one of those that's not real music, because I was a snob, and then I got rid of my music snobbery, and except for some genres, I still am a snob. But anyway, it is music. I like the trance. Don't come at me for saying it's not real music. That was old me. New me likes it. Okay.
That's too funny. I mean, it's cool too, because it's got all that VR ability. I've never played Tetris Effect on VR. I probably won't, because I don't care for VR. Okay, so I'm gonna show my video game snobbiness by saying, I don't care for VR, and I'm saying that because I don't care for VR, even though I've never tried it. And the only way I'm going to try it is if I borrow a set from somebody, and I just don't know if I'm gonna I see myself ever doing that.
I'm sorry. I've tried VR once, and it was not on a Tetris game, and I didn't really like it. So, maybe try it, but that's surprising that they have Tetris VR. I wonder how's that work? Just,
it's that whole immersion factor, I guess, is how they bill it, as it were. The Tetris Effect Connected, of course, has online multiplayer, but also local for like up to 4 people. But like, if you're looking to have competitive play, like I feel like that's where Tetris 99 really sort of takes the cake there. The last version of Tetris that I played is Puyo Puyo Tetris 2 on the Switch. That, of course, is available on all major consoles. But this one is interesting because it's a mix between Tetris and Puyo Puyo. And Puyo Puyo, for if you know of that type of game, it's essentially Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. It's that essentially, or it's not. Kirby's Avalanche on the Super Nintendo. It's also that too. It's where you connect 4 of the little monster beans all together to clear them. That version of Puyo Puyo Tetris, it was, I got you that one.
You did.
Puyo Puyo Tetris, it was fine. I still liked how Tetris and Dr. Mario mixed, and I'm hoping they do another Tetris Dr. Mario game. My big issue with Puyo Puyo Tetris is just how like juvenile and kiddie it is. Like it really lays that on thick. And there's like a 1-player mode, but it's really like, okay, I feel, bad as it sounds, it's almost embarrassing to play, like even worse than Yoshi's Story on the Nintendo 64. And that's where Yoshi's Story is kind of like that whole kumbaya, everybody hold hands around the happy tree, like that kind of stuff. Like, okay, I'm getting a little old for this. And like, oh, sorry, Storm.
It's saccharine sweet, kind of like,
yes. Oh my
watching episodes of Full House now. It's like,
yes.
Oh my God.
Oh.
It just like, really? Okay, anyway.
that is such a perfect descriptor. So that's the 13 plus versions of Tetris that I've played. Storm, did I miss any versions that I talked about that maybe I didn't play that you have?
No, I don't think so. You've probably played a lot more than I have. So I can't think of any that you've not, well, any that you've missed. Because you did mention the DS one, and I was like, oh yeah, I did play that. Um, yeah, I can't think of anything other than just random ones on PC or mobile, if you've done any of those. The mobile ones. I know PC you might not have in some time, but yeah.
Yeah, I know that there was a Windows one that I did. I have a mobile one. I just don't know what version it is. I'm sure it's an EA one because EA owns everything, including yours and my souls.
Yes.
Um, so sorry, EA overlords. Hopefully, you won't blast me out of oblivion here. Let's see. Yep, I'm still alive. I'm still here. I'm good. Okay. Um, so kind of want to get into general Tetris discussion here, do a little bit more walking, chewing bubble gum. What version of Tetris would you say, Storm, you have like the most nostalgia for?
Um, Surprisingly, it would probably be Tetris Attack or the PC version that I had first, because I just remember it was a Thanksgiving and one of my cousins just sitting at the computer trying for like 2 hours to beat it, my score, and I would just laugh at him because he couldn't. And then, as soon as he got one high score, I would try to hurry up and take over that. And then, you know, Tetris Attack. It was probably the best memories with your mom outside of with everything else. Yeah, and probably one of the very few good memories that I have. So it was a lot of fun, and then I know you would join in every now and then and play. So, and you and I would play when I got it. But
Yeah,
so I think those two just bring back some sort of like happy, at least it remind me of happy stuff and not like you know.
yeah, and I'm kind of with you there. For me, it's the NES Tetris, and that was a thing. I remember my mother and my older brothers playing. But then where I remember it was around the Tetris and Dr. Mario time. I would play that a ton. Um, yeah, probably those two. I don't have a lot of. It's funny. We are playing the Game Boy version, but I don't have too much nostalgia for this, just because um, my brothers and I didn't really play a lot of this together because it required the link cable and two of our Game Boys, and that would always be like a thing. It was just easier for us to play physically, like on the TV, something together. At least until they got too old for video games, and
Yeah.
oh, I gotta have girls instead because
Yeah.
girls don't play video games, right.
Nope. Right. We don't. God, that's a whole other discussion for growing up in the period where video games were just a boys' thing.
Yeah,
You found them in the boys' aisle, by the boys' toys, and just stupid. So,
yeah, and viewers and listeners, that's going to be a topic for our podcast series at some point. And please make sure you check out our podcast series. That is, of course, the Inferno Cast. That is both on YouTube here on Inferno Fox Gaming, as well as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music. That's going to be one of the topics we'll eventually tackle. But until then, we're going to be continuing to tackle fun and interesting video game topics. So make sure you subscribe here, as well as subscribe through the various podcast channels that I had mentioned. One of the so we've played a number of these versions of Tetris. Which one just feels the best? Like that you're playing and it just feels good to play?
I am going to go back to Tetris 99. The controls are smooth and I can store a freaking thing. Um oh, I just screwed myself. So yeah, Tetris 99 has really good controls, and I have played Dr. Mario more recently because that is on oh is on iOS. Sorry. It and I'm
That's
just not
that's the
with the
Dr. Mario
controls with
world,
the
right?
yes. Yes. And I wasn't really good at Dr. Mario on the console, so I'm not really good at it on the phone. But no, really, the Tetris 99 controls are nice, and it's not just because it's the new one of the newer versions of Tetris. Just to me, it's much smoother, and it's much smoother, especially if you use a pro controller.
As opposed to
Because
the Joy-Cons, which can be nice, but just having to deal with the overall jank of the uh what was it,
yes,
rolling, what
yeah, I whatever little rolling thingies that you said before, I didn't, that was news to me that there's techniques of rolling to something for Tetris too. I was like, really? Hmm.
yeah, definitely check that out. Because it's really an interesting technique. It really I think it even works with the pro controller and current versions, although you don't need that near as much as you do for the original NES one. You absolutely do. It's ridiculously tough, but if for its difficulty, it sort of adds to that basic element. I'm pretty much in agreement with you. I think Tetris 99 probably feels the best. Even though I'm an avid fan of the original NES version, there's we talk about how, yeah, it's newer, but there's a reason why something, because it's new, it feels well. It's because it's been tried and tested. They've learned what works and what doesn't, and they're applying what works to that version of Tetris, which of course is Tetris 99. And I think probably the most amount of gameplay modes, I'd probably say it would be between Tetris 99 and maybe even um, Tetris Effect Connected. Maybe, what do you think, Storm? Did Tetris DS have a lot of modes or more modes than Tetris 99, or what are your thoughts?
Um, I honestly don't remember how many modes that the Tetris DS had. So it feels like um there would be more in 99, but maybe not. Because there's all the play online and then the single play and then there's the endless. So maybe 99 has a few more. I'm not sure. So
Did you end up paying the buy, what is it? You can buy it and play all these additional modes. Did you end up buying that for Tetris 99?
yes, I did.
Me too. Just it was really nice to be able to be on. I remember traveling for business, being able to fly and just play the Tetris 99, obviously locally, because I'm not going to pay 20, 30, $40 for the crappy plane Wi-Fi to play online.
No kidding.
um, but just being able to do that was really nice. Um, which one would, out of all these Tetrises, which one has the best multiplayer?
Um, you know, I've I'm gonna go back to 99 only because I've not well, Tetris Attack was good back then too. But I've not done the Tetris Effect Connected multiplayer yet, so I don't know how that works. But I would say 99 or Tetris Attack because it was designed to, be a two-player kind of thing. Competitive mode. Maybe not the whole game wasn't designed for that, but it yeah, it has a good competitive mode. This one isn't too bad. This is honestly the first time that I've played Tetris like this on a Game Boy system. So this one isn't bad at all because it's not sending everything over right away. I'm not getting chunks of blocks. It just happens all at once and then you're dead. But
Yeah, it's
you know.
well, it also doesn't help that I'm having honestly, half the time I'm having a hard time trying to uh clear through stuff, or I kill myself. That's cool. All right. Yeah, yeah, there we go.
Yay! Let me celebrate because there's
um
one.
what would you say is probably the worst Tetris, both spin-off and original version, the worst Tetris that you've played?
You know, I'm gonna go with the mobile Tetris that was on iOS. I did not like it. It was just, it felt clunky to move the pieces around, and just the whole touchscreen of it, it wasn't smooth for me, so I would go with the that mobile version. Sorry guys, you
Uh,
mobile creators. I'm sure it's fine for others, but it's just it no, it was clunky, and I don't like how sensitive the touchscreen is a lot of the times for things, so yeah.
no, no, that's I feel like that's totally fair, just because like we grew up with the button controls, and there is something to be said with having that sort of as I mentioned a little earlier, that sort of feel to it.
Yep.
Um, for me, probably a number of the PC ones that I played weren't great. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I'm gonna say probably that, or even like Tetris 2. Like if we're talking about spin-offs, like Tetris 2 was about adding a whole bunch of crazy crap and seeing what throwing noodles at the walls, seeing what would stick, up to and including stuff like bombs and other stuff like that. Um, I know people, if we're also talk about spin-offs, people don't like the spin-off of Word Tris, and I've got a special spot in my video game heart for Word Tris, just because like it's cool to be able to throw letters. Oh my, I'm actually surprised that I won that one. I wasn't looking great on that.
Yeah, I screwed up, and then I was thinking word tris. I don't think I've heard of that one, and I like word games, so
Um, so it was another Super Nintendo one.
Okay.
Another one of the ones that my mother would actually play. But it didn't really age all that well. And imagine having to put words together, except you know how there's 7 different tetraminos here.
Yeah.
There's 26 different letters, and if you need an S, well, you have a 1 in 26% chance of getting an S. So
Mm,
that kind
okay.
of design doesn't really lend itself very well to putting together complicated words.
Right.
Um, and of course, you still have this um, arena and area to be able to play against. Um, so I think we're probably in agreement that the best Tetris is probably going to be between Tetris 99 and Tetris Effect. Would you say we're on the same page?
Yes.
Fraud alert, frog alert, totally on the same page.
Yep. Yep. Because Tetris 99 just, it's great for, like, even if you just want to play a quick match, you can jump on and play against people or whatever. But the Tetris Effect Connected is just beautiful, and the the way the maps are always changing, the blocks are always changing, and the music, and especially they recommend listening to in head back, listening through headphones, and absolutely it makes a difference for the sound. It's just incredible.
I,
And probably one of the most relaxed versions, even as the stuff starts going faster as you get higher levels, it's still like the music helps you out. But then I'm paying attention to the music in some of those, and I've caught myself like making the levels go longer so I can listen to the music instead of trying to clear it out. Like, this is not the object of the game, but the song is really good. I want to listen to it. So
yeah, it's so funny how like it's really that whole experience where the sound making it really what it is with Tetris Effect, and even the game modes. What my only problem with Tetris Effect is it really is like it starts out so far away, and every time I start, at least to start off in the beginning, I have to like zoom it in, and then I'm good. I think the reason they start far out is if you're doing VR, it's a thing where VR places it your working screen right in the center of your view, so you're good. But then as you go on, like the rest of the background on the left and the side are sort of like your like peripherals, and when your eye focuses just on Tetris itself. So I'm going to really try and screw myself over here and do a high level of 5. We'll see how poorly I do. And oh my god, what did I do to myself?
You'll probably still win.
Uh,
This is Inferno Fox being very humble, you all.
um it's funny too, because like of course I'm going to make it the hardest part as we get into the hardest part of our discussion, as we try and say, okay, Tetris 99 versus Tetris Effect. And for me, it's a thing where I definitely think it is between Tetris 99 and Tetris Effect. Like which one is holy crap, that's not fun. So Tetris 99, if we talk about music, 99 has got the whole like oh crap, oh crap cakes. um
Yay! It's only because your handicap is at 5. That's good, but I'm going to pretend that it's still at 0 and I still beat you once. Oh Lord.
oh, it's going to be probably all 4 times.
We'll see. I won't celebrate too hard yet. Anyway.
So like Tetris 99 has a thing where I guess technically it has the most type of songs just because it has so many themes. But Tetris Effect has so many like of the different like what am I trying to say? It's unique because
Yes.
every single one of the songs in Tetris 99 come from the game that it's themed from. So like if you have the Donkey Kong theme, it's gonna be Donkey Kong. So you're gonna be hearing the Donkey Kong various remixes and beats and whatnot. Whereas with Tetris Effect, yeah, I wasn't gonna win that one. Tetris Effect, it's got that sort of like chill vibe, right?
Yes. I was doing a happy dance. Yeah. And let's see. Well, Tetris 99, outside of they have the familiar music, with video gaming and stuff. And there's some themes that I got just by playing that I don't play these games, but I like the music. So I will use that theme for it. And their blocks are traditional, the little tetranomes. They look more like the traditional blocks like we're seeing now, whereas wow, I didn't even do anything. um the Tetris Effect, with each level that you go through, at least in the journey mode, the blocks change to go along with the scenery and back, and they'll change with the speed. Like the music tempo changes, the higher you go or the faster that's the pieces are dropping.
And it's cool too. One of the things I tried doing was download the soundtrack to Tetris Effect, but it does not work. Like the whole active element with playing, and as you had mentioned, where you're speeding up, or maybe you're at a lower pile, so the music is a little bit more chill. You don't get that if you just try and listen to that like on its own, because I like listening to video game music, and yeah, it's not the same. You really have to have that whole experience, and that's really what the Tetris Effect Connected is. It's more than just Tetris itself. It's the experience. Now I know you had mentioned that that you hadn't played a lot of the multiplayer element for Tetris Effect, and I've done quite a bit of it, and it is fun and competitive and everything like that. And the music does kind of ramp up with it, but I think Tetris 99 has it really has Tetris Effect sort of beat on that, because Obviously, it's not just that you're competing against one player, or even up to 4 players. You're competing against 99, and there's really something to be said about that experience, especially when at most you'd have 3 people going against you on Tetris Effect. No, at Tetris 99, you could have as many as like 13. I think was one of the times that I had going against me, and there's nothing more panic inducing than when you get 13 people sending blocks at you. Like, yeah, that can be kind of dang it, heart attack inducing. I was close. I was down to 4 lines.
Dang, you almost got me
Almost.
for one.
For one.
But it took a handicap of 5 for me to be able to win a game against you. Okay, so I'm not ignoring that. But
I think I'm going to set this back down to 0. So
go ahead. That's fine. You know how I am. This is why we play games together, because I don't care. I mean, I care, but and I'll give you friend crap for beating me, but at the same time, I'll just play again. I don't care. So, I do like the Tetris 99 because you can, like, with all their different themes, you basically customize it to how you want to play. So that's one limit that the Tetris Effect Connected has that the Tetris 99 doesn't have, is, if you get those themes or whatnot, and even if you don't take part in Nintendo's competitions over the weekends or whatever, like, you get tickets for things and you can cash them in for themes. So making it a bit more customizable also makes it a good game, because your screen can look different than my screen and we don't have to use the same color blocks and whatnot. So that's kind of nice.
Yeah, I like that too. The one thing is, when they do the weekends where you can unlock themes, I hate how you're locked to that if you want to do
Yes.
gameplay. So kind of music, I feel like Tetris Effect has Tetris 99 beat on the music, but only just barely, just because like the music, I swear to God, when it gets down to like 10 or less, especially in Invictus mode, because when you're in Invictus mode, it gets down to 10 or less, the background changes from whatever theme that you're doing to it's just like multicolor. Oh, that was kind of stupid on my part with my spinning, to this whole like kind of kaleidoscope effect, and it like really adds to the whole pressure. I feel like I said, it was close where but like Tetris Effect Connected kind of beats out 99. Graphically, I would say kind of the same thing, but the amount of different themes with 99 allow for, like, hey, if you don't want to have that trippy hippy dippy look and you want like a more core experience, that's available in Tetris 99, and whereas you're sort of kind of stuck with the trippy dippy with Tetris Effect, although Tetris Effect has that original NES version aesthetic, and like I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's like I almost effered that time because I put the brick in the wrong place and that's why I died.
Oh
so
no.
I had to catch myself. Almost heard it, but yeah, oh, you asshole. That brick did not. That's the one thing I dislike the most about Tetris, is if you aren't careful in your placement and all of a sudden there's one brick over, that one little space screws everything up.
Yes.
It's so annoying, but makes the game fun. So graphically, Tetris Effect Connected is a beautiful game. But I think, I don't know, for just being what it is, and just I don't want to call Tetris 99 a bare bones Tetris game, but in comparison, it kind of is a bare bones Tetris game to Tetris Effect connected. So I think the graphics on Tetris 99 are just fine, and look good for what they are, and especially on the Switch. Both I have both versions on, or the Tetris connected and on the Switch and PlayStation. Both are just beautiful on both platforms, but the 99 has, for being a simple, and I'm air quoting, Tetris game, I think graphically it's great.
If anything, it's serviceable and then some. It's really something where it works well, and the themes add that additional sort of like look to it. So honestly, call me crazy, I would say that's a wash. I think both of them have they excel in their own ways, and that.
Yep. It's really tough comparing them to, like, graphically, because they're both, yes, they're Tetris, but they're so different that it's really not fair to say graphically this one is better than that. But I mean, the Tetris Effect connected is a more story based Tetris to me, and the Tetris 99 is your basic, air quote, basic Tetris. So,
and gameplay wise, it's kind of like Tetris Effect, with it having that more robust one player mode. But Tetris 99 is not really, it wasn't really meant to have a one player mode. It has it in the form of, like, as I mentioned, you can play CPUs and whatnot, but that's not, it's more like a serviceable thing. But again,
right.
it's meant to be played with 99 other people. So it's not its own, like, separate thing.
Exactly.
So I think gameplay wise, it's also sort of a wash, where, like, Tetris Effect is meant to be that sort of experience. And you got me that one.
Woohoo!
I should have used the rolling technique to get the block past and not land.
You should have.
So I feel like really it's going to come down to, out of being the which ones are the better games, like, just kind of that person to person experience. And it's going to be a thing where, if you want to have that person to person experience or not, and if it's something where you just want a nice, chill, relaxing time, then really Tetris Effect is probably going to be your game. But if you're looking for, like, the best of the, not only the core Tetris experience, but also, like, but sort of that competitive edge, and you want to chase that battle royale high, it's going to be, Tetris 99 is going to be where you want to go. So again, like, kind of enough, like, muffing here. Storm, which one do you think is the best Tetris?
Oh, Tetris 99.
And I am going to be right there with you. I do think Tetris 99 is probably the best version of, not only just the best version of Tetris, like, it's probably the best Tetris. And it's also, like, so it's also one of those games where, like, I probably have, like, the highest highs with, if that makes any sense. Like, would you kind of agree with that?
Yes, when I've only beat everyone like twice. So getting in the top 10 feels good, but beating, when you beat 98 other people to be the king or queen of Tetris for that round, that's great. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really, I have, of course, some high achievements with the Tetris series, where, like, I've gotten, I think I just barely broke 1,000,000 points on the NES Tetris. And then, like I said, completing 19.5, like, a year or two ago. I remember it was COVID, because we all didn't really have lives then.
Yeah.
So being able to do that. But yeah, probably being able to beat 98 other individuals. And from what I've heard, like, there are still a lot of people that play Tetris, but when there aren't enough people, they fill the rest of the 90 people with bots if they can't find enough individuals. And that really is the case with this, with the Invictus mode. And this Invictus mode unlocks only if you've successfully won a battle royale in Tetris 99. I've probably only won Invictus barely double digits, barely, maybe not even, maybe even like 8 or 9 times, because it's so hard. Where like Invictus, just so our viewers slash listeners know, that's where you start out at the speed of where you would be at when you're down to like 20 players. And then once you get down to where 20 players are, like the blocks pretty much just start immediately on the ground, and you barely have enough time to like quickly spin the tetramino to where you need to, and spin it around the ground. So you have to like do like god level architecture to make sure you're planning and pre-planning with all the blocks ahead of time, and you really using the hold button while trying to stay alive as other players are sending all their crap at you. It's insanity. Storm, have you played Invictus?
I have tried it, I think once or twice, and I didn't get very far. Definitely have not won in that one because the speed, it will trip me up.
Dude, it is painful playing that. And honestly, as bad as it sounds, like I still pretty much stick with the standard Tetris, the standard battle royale, because it's like that's really the one that I have the most fun on. If I want to have the challenging experience with, and again, Invictus only unlocks with people who have beaten it, and not everybody has beaten it. So I've noticed there's a lot of bots that fill in the Invictus spots. It's still that like that's not really that fun either.
No.
My biggest, probably the achievement I'm most proud of with Tetris 99 is getting the achievement where you've won 3 battle royales in a row, and it like gives you a little emblem or a logo, and I have made sure to show that logo on my profile.
Oh, nice. You're fancy like that, but I would too if I had it, of course, because that's awesome to do 3 in a row and win them, because it's tough. There's some good Tetris players out there who play, and I'm glad they filled the arena with bots if there aren't enough people, but I get mad when it's a freaking bot that knocks me out, or the
Yes.
bots win. Then I'm like, no, that's not fair. I don't mind getting beat by people. Well, I do mind, but you know what I mean. It's more of a bitter pill to swallow when it's a freaking bot that took you out.
Yeah, and it's a thing where it's like, okay, did they really take me out? Really? Because
right.
Maybe somebody else was actually sending you the crap, and that bot was the one that just sent you the last piece.
Right.
So, but yeah, I think we're in agreement. The best version of Tetris is going to be Tetris 99, although I'm sure it's going to be a thing where our viewers slash listeners, maybe your best version is going to be the one that we're playing now, because this is the one that really got you into Tetris, or where you really heard Tetris. Because like I said, the Game Boy one, it was the Wii Sports of video gaming for a lot of people, where people got games or Game Boys, or just in general. Any other thoughts, comments, or anything regarding Tetris 99, or just Tetris in general, Storm?
I do recommend people check out the story of Tetris, like that doc that you mentioned, or the Tetris murders. I'm going to check out that one that you talked about, because I don't think I've seen it. I can't think of anything. Hang on. Moving blocks. To say that it is, again, I'm glad you clarified. It may not be everyone's best version of Tetris, but for us personally, the best version Tetris would be 99. Just overall gameplay of it just makes it feel good, and I like playing against others and keep talking about it. Now I want to play. But it just, I don't know. No, I don't have any. Oh, maybe this comment that I'm glad that Tetris has also inspired other games, because without Tetris, where would Candy Crush be, or those type of bejeweled and whatnot. So it's just interesting to see how far we've come with this, and that people still love the original Tetris. That there was that thing you saw in Milwaukee, where I forgot where you were, but that there was still a competition for it. So being this little basic puzzler game has still had quite a life to it, and that we're still talking about it now, you know.
Yeah, it's really a crazy sort of a thing where it kind of reminds me of Smash Brothers, where in Super Smash, people are still playing Super Smash Melee. That's the second one, even though the newest one, Smash Ultimate, is out and has been out for almost 5 years. People like what they like, and it kind of becomes a core thing for the individuals that are playing it. But
Right.
yeah, so I really can't think of anything else. Just want to take the time. Storm, thank you again for joining me on our Tetris conversation. You, of course, can catch Stormrosesky on her Twitch and YouTube channels of Stormrosesky. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. It was fun. I had fun getting my butt kicked, even though I beat you once, only because you're handicapped. But this is the life of playing games against Inferno Fox. And I'm telling you, this is not only to blow smoke up his butt. I've known him since he was itty bitty. And since he was itty bitty, playing games against him has always been, I'll win 1 out of 10. So there you go.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I appreciate, of course, everybody who is joining us, as well as we sort of discuss our favorite versions of Tetris. Thank you so much. Make sure to let me know in the comments section below, or yeah, let me know there as to what your favorite version of Tetris is, what kind of favorite memories and everything like that. Please also make sure to like or dislike and subscribe, as well as ring that bell for notifications. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a great day.
Bye.